I didn't even give him 10 bells. I had to give him 5. He's not even deserving of 10. That was our 5-bell salute for LA Knight. Poor LA Knight. What more can be said about LA Knight here on these shows? We saw LA Knight in the finals of the John Cena tournament, right? He wrestled Gunther on SmackDown last week. I think we all knew how that match was going to go, and sure enough, he lost, right? So he got, not only did he lose to Gunther on Friday, but he tapped out to Gunther in the middle of the ring. So he tapped out to him. And then, of course, we have tonight, LA Knight finds himself back in the main event on Monday Night Raw, and you would think, well, what a great place for him to be, back in the main event, right? Well, he goes in there in the main event against Logan Paul, and he gets pinned. And then the topper of all toppers here. Now, how does he get pinned? He gets pinned in part due to the Masked Man, who made 2 appearances on the show tonight. Of course, they're not revealing who he is just yet. But he helped cost LA Knight the match. When the match is over, LA Knight gets speared by Braun Breaker, which we've seen a million fucking times over the course of the summer and the fall, and now we're heading into the winter. And then he gets not 1 but 2 tsunami splashes, and so LA Knight gets carried off to the back. But that's not enough, because you see, to end the show tonight, they went backstage to further kick this man's ass, and they proceed to put LA Knight through a table in the backstage area. And when he is still showing some signs of life, they decide, you know what? This man is not buried beneath the earth quite enough just yet. Why don't we dump him on top of a car, and we will have Bronson Reed tsunami splash him on top of the car? That seems to be a sufficient enough beatdown for LA Knight, who then, if you didn't see the post-show footage, was strapped to a gurney and loaded into the back of an ambulance, where he is now en route to the nearest medical facility. So long, LA Knight. It was nice knowing you. That, my friends, is how you write someone off of television. And I can only hope that it's a situation where maybe he asked for some vacation time. Because he is. I mean, last year, I think he may have had more matches than anybody in WWE. If not, it was very close. And I think it's very close this year also. If he doesn't have the most matches of anybody on the roster, he's in that top mix. So he's been working a lot of matches, and maybe he gets a well-deserved little break here heading into the holidays. Frankly, it doesn't even really matter whether it's requested time off or it's just another example in a long line of examples about what Triple H really thinks of LA Knight. What became very clear watching the show tonight is that it doesn't matter how over he is. It doesn't matter how many times the people like to go, yeah, and the people, just love LA Knight. LA Knight is only going to get to a certain level in this company. For whatever reason. Triple H, he has his guys, he has his plans for what he wants to do with the World Heavyweight title and with the WWE Championship. LA Knight does not fit into that mix. And so this is going to continue even after LA Knight comes back, assuming he comes back at all and can crawl out of the grave from which he was buried in tonight. He'll come back and he'll end up in the same spot that he's always been in. There was a point in time where people would be like, what did LA Knight do to piss off Triple H, right? And I didn't really have an answer. I'm like, well, whatever. It's just they're pushing the vision. They're pushing the bloodline. Like, there's always some kind of excuse. But now it's just to a point where there's no logical explanation for it. I cannot sit here and defend it. I cannot sit here and tell you exactly why this is the way that things have gone for LA Knight. Maybe Triple H or somebody really does have it out for him in some form or fashion. It's kind of a hard thing to ignore at this point. But I'm just watching this play out tonight after the rage that some people had within them after Friday. And I was almost sitting here laughing because I knew. It was almost like just rubbing salt in the wound for all the LA Knight fans out there. Like, oh, you want to bitch and moan that he didn't win the tournament, huh? You want to bitch and moan that he didn't wrestle John Cena in his final match, which he was never going to do, of course. But I'll show you. And boy, did they show us. But yes, that's how Raw went off the air tonight, with the demise of LA Knight, hence the 5-bell salute that you heard here at the beginning of the review. But it was the Vision standing tall. Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and the Masked Man, whoever this person ends up being, as they are rolling towards January 5th and Braun Breaker challenging CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. There was no CM Punk on the show tonight for the second week in a row. He is filming a role in a new Netflix movie. So at least for this week, that is where he was. Maybe he'll be back on the show next week. Maybe not. Maybe they're going to hold him out until January 5th. I don't know. That's when I expect the reveal of the Masked Man. And we got another Braun Breaker promo at the end of the show as well. But again, as far as the LA Knight stuff, there's really nothing more that can be said. You know, time after time. Like the wins that he has picked up in that John Cena tournament in recent weeks were some of the only real significant wins that he has had in many, many months. You know, he's won a couple of TV matches over the last like 3 or 4 months that really, I mean, he had like a fucking trick or treat win over Solo Sikoa on TV. It's like, who gives a fuck? But like in the tournament, he beat, you know, Zack Ryder, and he got a win over Jey Uso. He did get a win over Jey Uso, but evidently they didn't want Jey Uso tapping out to Gunther. That was LA Knight's role. So it has not been a very kind 2025 for LA Knight. But I think it's going to be a very rewarding 2026 for Braun Breaker when he wrestles for that World Heavyweight Championship, because even if he doesn't win it on January 5th, he'll probably end up winning the Royal Rumble and challenging for it at WrestleMania anyway. So anyway, that was what happened at the end of the show. Now, there's a big match coming up this weekend. For those of you who have been living under a rock and haven't been paying attention and don't know what's going on, we have John Cena is going to be wrestling his final match on Saturday night's main event. He will be wrestling Gunther, the ring general. John Cena was not on Raw tonight because John Cena has no appearances left until Saturday. This is one of the things that has been unfortunate about the limited number of dates that they have him for going into the match with AJ Styles. You know, we didn't get that one in-ring, like, face-to-face promo with them. Right? We got some cool video packages. Okay, great. But we didn't get him on TV. You know what I mean? Before the match. And so it's the same thing with Gunther, because they waited until just this past Friday to have the finals of the tournament. There was no time to have any sort of interaction at all between the two of them. Literally the only interaction that we are going to get between John Cena and Gunther is going to be in the ring on Saturday. So you had Gunther come out, and there's only so much that he can really say. I thought the promo, you know, that he did at the beginning of the show was good. But what's left to say? You know, the story they are going to tell here is that he is intent on not only beating John Cena, but submitting him, tapping him out, forcing him to do the one thing that he has not done in 20 plus years. Although to hear WWE tell it, it's never been done before, because nothing existed before the year 2005. But that's the story they're telling going into Saturday. And I am looking forward to the show. I'm looking forward to the match. They added a new match to the Saturday night's main event card, which is one that I hope I helped will into existence when I mentioned it on the sound off yesterday. I'm very happy about this. One other person who will not be in main events anymore. He's got to change his name now. Main event Jey Uso is dead. There is no more main event Jey Uso. It's back to tag team Jey Uso, which is really where he belongs right now. He's not really needed in the main event mix. So that's good, but I think it's only temporary. So we'll talk about that. And not a whole lot else happened on this show. In all honesty, this show was pretty boring tonight. It was not offensively boring, but it was nonetheless mostly a drag to sit through. This was not a terribly exciting show to watch. This review will hopefully be more exciting and entertaining than Raw was tonight. This is your Raw on Netflix review. It is Monday. It is December 8th, 2025. I am main event Solomonster. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as we climb the ladder ever so close to 90,000 subscribers. We're inching our way up. I can't do it without you. Super chats are open. We have a goal going in the chat. Should we hit it, we'll do some Be the Booker and an intergender round of Be the Booker. We don't do that very often. So maybe if we hit that goal, we'll do that tonight. But we're going to take it right back to the top. But before I do that, I do want to remind all of you on the note of what I just talked about, the big event coming up this weekend, that John Cena is saying farewell. And I will be here to talk about it because after Saturday night's main event is over, You can come back here to the channel for the live post-show review. I will be live on YouTube covering everything this Saturday, so join me then. Just for those of you wondering if I will be live, of course, the answer is yes. So that's where you can find me. Night is going to be the White Nakamura. Really? That's quite the comparison. Do you remember when the two of them feuded? A White Nakamura. That is quite the analogy there. So let's take it from the top here. Gunther came out to open the show. He is facing John Cena, so he had a message for Cena. He's wearing all black and roundly booed here by the fans in Kansas City. So the boos turned into chants for Cena. Gunther said that he would be the final opponent for the greatest sports entertainer of all time, but he wanted to make one thing very clear. Cena would be facing the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He goes, put up the clock. And on the, not even the Tron, on the LED boards by the entranceway, they put up a special countdown clock. And he goes, this is how many days and hours and minutes and seconds are left until we get to the match. This is what's left in the career of John Cena. He called Cena the man who never gave up. But beating Cena wasn't enough. He would break Cena's spirit. I mean, this is the Rocky IV story. I will break you. He's literally saying he's going to break John Cena. It's Rocky IV. He's Ivan Drago, right? He's the evil foreign heel. John Cena is the white meat, good old American babyface. This is the story they're telling. He says he's going to break Cena's spirit. He's going to bully him. He's going to drop him on his head, wrap his arms around his neck, and squeeze until the last bits of hustle, loyalty, and respect left his body. He said there was only one way out, and Cena would do the one thing that he said he never would, give up. And he looked dead into the camera as he said this. And that was it. The message was clear. The message was brief. It was short. It was to the point. It was what it needed to be. There's nothing more to be said. If Cena's not going to be on the show, there's nothing more to be said. There's nobody for Gunther to go out there and beat up. There's no little Cena midget that he's going to bring out to the ring to beat up. No silly nonsense. None of that garbage. All that's left now is the match on Saturday. And I've laid out my reasons for why I think John Cena should win on Saturday, even though the right business move, I'm sure, would be to have Gunther win. And there may be certain situations coming out of this show heading into WrestleMania, depending on what their plans are for Gunther, where it would make sense for him to win. Like if he was going to wrestle Brock Lesnar, which I think is a very real possibility of WrestleMania, then it would be the battle between, two men who beat John Cena on his way out of the company. In that case, I guess Gunther has to win. But short of something like that, I just feel like if you are telling the Rocky IV story, the babyface should go over. And you should give the people what they want. You should give the people the happy moment, the happy climax, the happy finale. Everybody wants a happy climax. A happy finale on Saturday. I won't be, upset if Gunther wins. I'm just saying, I think I've come around to the idea that John Cena should get that big win on his way out. And they're really leaning very heavily into this idea that Gunther is just going to mop the floor with this guy and he's going to tap him out in the middle of the ring. And what a boss he would be if he actually does that, if he does what he says he's going to do. But it's almost like, okay, they're kind of throwing it in your face and really pushing this idea, this narrative that he's going to, tap him out, which tells me that maybe he's not going to, and either he's going to pass out or Cena's going to outright win. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to the entire show. I'm enjoying these WWE versus NXT matches that they put together so far. There's still only 4 matches on the show. Maybe they add one more later in the week. It seems unlikely at this point, but I also get it because now they're on Peacock. They're not on NBC, but they're going to have their commercial breaks in between the matches and they're going to plug all their shit. If they feel they need a lot of time for Cena, for the entrances, for the match, for maybe a post-match speech, I get it. I mean, from start to finish, all the Cena stuff alone is probably going to be at least an hour. Right? And then that leaves the 3 other matches. So if you want to give them some length, I get it. It would be nice to get one more match, but it looks like they're probably going to keep it at 4. We had a singles match between Io Sky, who came out to the ring with Rhea Ripley, and no more protective mask for Rhea. Io took on Kairi Sane, who came out with her tag team championship partner Asuka in her corner. Before the match, they showed the new NXT champion. He is him. He's that guy. He's the ruler, Oba Femi, the brand new NXT champion. He won the belt back from Ricky Saints at Deadline on Saturday. They showed him in the front row. They plugged his match against Cody Rhodes coming up on Saturday night's main event. Io was about to go for a dive. Asuka jumped up on the apron to block it as Kairi distracted the referee. Io went after Asuka. Asuka, though, dropped the rope and Io spilled out to the floor. Ripley then confronted Asuka. Kairi used that distraction to take down Io with a leaping forearm off the apron. Io fought back when they got back from the break and hit a springboard missile drop kick, hit a corner Meteora for 2. And then she set up for her moonsault, but Kairi quickly went up to block it and followed with a double foot stomp for a 2 count. Kairi tried a backdrop on the apron. Io landed on her feet. Kairi didn't notice. So Io gave her a German suplex on the apron. Io followed with an Asai moonsault to the floor. Io set up again in the ring for the moonsault, but again, Asuka interfered with the referee not noticing, this time by knocking Io off the top rope. Ripley at this point said, fuck this, I've had enough. And she went after Asuka. She ended up dumping Asuka into the timekeeper's area. Kairi failed to take advantage of the distraction. Io then hit her Genius of the Sky moonsault, and she got the win. This was a perfectly fine TV match. It's getting very repetitive, seeing Kairi Sane always lose in these matches. She just lost to Alexa Bliss on Friday. She lost here to Io Sky. Yeah, it's to the point now where when they put the graphic up showing that she's going to be wrestling in a singles match, I already know what the outcome of the match is going to be. It's already a very predictable conclusion. We already know. Like, Kairi is not winning this match. In the back, Logan Paul approached the rest of the Vision, who were just sort of sitting around and talking amongst themselves. And he asked, did you see Rey Mysterio smack me in the face last week? Bronson Reed said he did, and he didn't like it. Braun Breaker, he seemed unbothered by all of this. Logan wanted something to be done about it. So the Brawns stood up and they said, you want us to handle it? We'll handle it. And Logan said that would be great. Logan pulled Paul Heyman aside and said he wanted the situation handled tonight. And Heyman assured him that for the first time in Logan's life, he had backup. And Logan was cool with that, but he wanted them to know that he was their backup if they needed him. Heyman said he didn't think he could respect Logan any more than he already did. And then he pulled out the brass knuckles and he gave them to Logan just in case. Why is Braun Breaker, can you answer this for me? Why is Braun Breaker even offering to help Logan in any way or do Logan's dirty work for him in any way? He should be telling him to piss off, do it yourself. It's almost like he's acting subservient to him. Although it did come off also like they're just sort of almost tolerating him, probably for the sake of Heyman. But still, it's like, it goes back to when Breaker bounced Seth Rollins out of the group and felt in that moment, felt like the de facto leader of the faction. And in comes Logan Paul in this segment, and he's like, I want this done. I'm like, who the fuck are you? And why is Braun Breaker seemingly going along with this shit? But otherwise, I have no problem with Logan Paul being a part of the Vision because it looks like he is going to be a full-time member of this group. That was my only potential hang-up with him being a part of really any faction. If he's going to do this pop-in, pop-out thing, then I don't want to see it. But if he's going to be there week to week, I mean, he may miss a week or two here or there, but like if he's pretty much full-time and he's going to be there with the rest of these guys, then cool. Because he fits in with what they're looking for in this group. So I don't have an issue with that. And he's been around for weeks now, even before War Games, right? And then War Games, and now 2 weeks straight on Raw. So, hey, as long as he's going to be around, I don't have an issue with it. Now, we were supposed to get a match between Rey Mysterio and Finn Balor. That's what they announced last week. Mysterio made his way out to the ring, but he got ambushed by Logan Paul. Mysterio fought him off. He set up for a 619. He got attacked from behind by the Masked Man, who slid into the ring. The Masked Man from War Games. And he super kicked Mysterio. He hit a curb stomp. And then he got chased away through the crowd by security. Mysterio slowly got to his feet. Logan knocked him out, though, with the brass knucks. LA Knight's music hits. And here he comes. And he comes out to the ring, even though the damage has already been done to poor Rey Mysterio. I guess LA was waiting for his music to play. So out to the ring he comes, and Logan bailed. So Knight said, he took a microphone. He said he was going to have an aneurysm if the Masked Man really did turn out to be Seth Rollins. He said that he would stomp his head in. He said he thought the Vision couldn't suck any more than they already did, but then Logan decided to join them. And he said, in case you couldn't tell, I'm a little pissed off right now. Things haven't exactly been going my way lately. No, you don't say. I haven't noticed. We should fast forward to the end of the show. He said it didn't help watching Logan attack a legend like Rey Mysterio. He said Logan would pay, not on Friday, not on Saturday. It would be right here tonight in Kansas City. And then Knight decided to say yeah over and over again. This was LA Knight over and over again here in this segment. And the fans were chanting yeah right along with him. And then we found out the match was made official. Our main event, Logan Paul against LA Knight. Which, of course, we saw that match, a couple years ago now, right? Last year? No, I think it was last year at SummerSlam. We had AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending the World Tag Team titles against the War Raiders. Yes, the War Raiders. We haven't seen them in a while. And all of a sudden, they're getting their rematch that they never got from April for the tag team titles. You could tell how excited this crowd was by the level of apathy that was directed towards these men. These fans could not be bothered to give a single solitary shit about these men. But before the match, the best part about this, before the match, they showed Javon Evans was in the crowd. And they threw a graphic up to announce that this weekend at Saturday night's main event, no titles on the line, but it would be AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans from NXT and the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater. Now, if you listened to the sound off yesterday, I was talking about what's been going on lately with this card and what they added to Saturday night's main event. And I said, I'm just throwing this out there. It would be really cool if we got a match, given that it's brand against brand. And I said, I know he's part of the TNA roster. He's not technically NXT, but how great would it be if we got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leon Slater? And now we are getting AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leon Slater. And I am here for it because that match is going to fucking rock. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It's the closest we're probably ever going to get to getting AJ Styles in the ring with Leon Slater. Remember, he put Leon over big when he showed up at Slammiversary. AJ didn't wrestle, but he did what he could on the mic to really put this kid over. So now they're going to be sharing a ring. And for Leon Slater, I mean, he's part of the TNA roster. And now he gets to be part of this big show this weekend, this big John Cena retirement show. So for him and Javon, this is a big showcase. That's why I love the idea. I give Cena credit, man. It's a great idea just to add some variety to the show instead of doing what they were originally going to do, which was just turn the entire thing into a John Cena tribute show. As long as they leave time for John Cena tributes and maybe some cameo appearances from certain people, I still want them to do all of that. But to fill up 2 hours with it and not have anybody else featured, it's just one giant masturbatory thing. Why not do something like this? And why not shine a spotlight on some of the stars? I can't even say of tomorrow. I mean, these guys are stars right now. But stars that are on the rise who could really use the rub and who can really use the spotlight by being a part of a show like this. Obafemi, Javon Evans, Sol Ruka is going to be wrestling Bailey on that show. So I love it. I love it. I love that we're getting this match. But also I was thinking about this because AJ has said he's retiring next year. We don't know when, but he has said next year will be his final year. And it's just wild to think about if you combine the ages, okay, of Javon Evans and Leon Slater, they are still not as old as AJ Styles. AJ still has them beat by 6 years. That's just wild to me. It's just ridiculous. So Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Grayson Waller, they were at ringside watching this next match. Eric and Ivar, they blocked early dive attempts by AJ and AJ Lee. Eric drove Lee into the barricade outside. Ivar squashed AJ into the side of the ring. That took us into a commercial break. They worked over AJ until Dragon Lee got a hot tag, and he ran wild after the break. With Eric hanging upside down in the ropes and holding himself up for the spot, Lee hit a double foot stomp, which we saw. We saw the same spot in the opening match with Io and Kairi. But then there was a spot here, and bless this man. He thought he could do it. He tried. Dragon Lee picked up Ivar, who's a big dude. And Dragon Lee is not as big as Ivar. But he went to go pick up Ivar on his shoulders. Now, I don't know what he was attempting to do. Maybe a Death Valley driver. Maybe he was going to give him an attitude adjustment. I don't know. But he dropped him. He had him up for a few seconds, and then he fell backwards, and they fell into the ropes, and he couldn't do it. So he tried again, because if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? Well, not necessarily always the case that you should be doing that. He shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. Picked him up, dropped him again. So now Ivar is like clubbing blows to the back, trying to save the spot here and trying to, show that he's fighting back, pretending to counter. Dragon Lee tries for a third time to pick this man up, and he does, but then very quickly he went to go dump him with a DVD, and he kind of did. It really didn't look that good. So this whole thing was just one big fail. The crowd, though, was very forgiving. The crowd didn't shit on them for it. If this was ECW back in the day, forget about it. They would have been run out of town on a rail. So Dragon Lee went for a Hurricane Rana on Eric on the apron after this, but instead he got caught. And then in a cool spot, he tossed him to Ivar, who was standing outside waiting for him. Ivar catches him and immediately drops him with a power slam on the floor. So they got him back in the ring. Ivar goes up top. He hits a top rope moonsault, squashing Dragon Lee, and had him beat. Styles, though, broke up the pin. So a little bit later, Styles pulled Ivar from the ropes with a Hurricane Rana that launched Ivar into Eric, who then tumbled out to the floor. Lee hit a flip dive out onto Eric, and that left AJ to hit Ivar with the phenomenal forearm, and he pinned him to retain the titles. It was not always pretty. I'll say that about this match. It was not a pretty match, especially those Dragon Lee attempts, which were ill-advised. But I thought it was a solid match. It had no heat. Certain things that AJ and Dragon Lee did got a reaction. The War Raiders basically got no reaction at all because the crowd is not invested in them. I couldn't even tell you, okay, if you told me I have to answer or my life will end in 5 seconds, then everything's going black, because I could not tell you the last time that we saw Eric and Ivar on this show. It's been months. And then out of nowhere, they get this tag team title match, and it's like, whatever. We already know they're not losing the championships here. Look, it may not be a title match on Saturday, but I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't wait until the match was over to announce that AJ and Dragon Lee were wrestling Javon and Leon on Saturday, just because even a non-title situation, by announcing it beforehand, you knew that they weren't beating AJ and Dragon Lee. Save that shit for when the match is over. I don't know why they did that at the beginning of the match. That was kind of weird. But again, nobody cares about the Vikings, of the football variety or the wrestling variety. Nobody cares. After the match, Kingston, Woods, and Waller, they entered the ring and they approached Styles and Lee. When we hear Jey Uso's theme song. It's just me, Us. And there they are, Jimmy and Jay, coming through the crowd. Now, when we saw Jey Uso last on this show, he was having a whole crash out last week when he left the building. But now he's in the crowd, he's holding babies, and he's yeeting with his brother. So they come down to the ring. And Jimmy said that they had an announcement to make, which is that the Usos are back in the tag team division. Back where they belong. Yes, the Usos are back going after the tag team titles. He said they've been getting hit hard these past few months. They lost at War Games. Said they lost at WrestlePalooza. Jay lost his world championship. And then he lost his train of thought. And he said Jay lost John Cena's final match. He meant he lost his match in the John Cena tournament, is what he meant. He was really burying little brother here on the mic. Jay lost this, Jay lost that. He said he saw his brother crashing out last week and knew he had to do something. So he called Jay in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he asked him, what are we going to do about this? So then Jay spoke, and he said that they would get back to us. They would block the noise. They would body them all. They would put the tag team division on notice. The best damn tag team was now in Yo City. He goes, we need gold. We need gold, Us. So the Usos meant no disrespect to the current champions, but he said Styles and Lee didn't know them. But these guys do, and they turned to face the New Day. And he compared their rivalry to Ali against Frazier and to Austin versus The Rock. It's New Day and the Usos. I'm going to reserve comment on that. I know what he was trying to say. And they did have a lengthy rivalry together. So we'll leave it at that. So they turned their attention then to Styles and Lee until New Day tried to attack them from behind. So they made short work of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Grayson Waller acted like he wanted to run it back. Then he took the hint. He's like, okay, I'm going to go this way. So he leaves the ring. And the segment ended with Styles and Lee exchanging words with the Usos. So main event Jey Uso is no more. Main event Jey Uso realistically should not have been a thing many months ago, after he lost the world championship to Gunther. But here we are in December, and at least for the time being, main event Jey Uso is no more. The world is healing, but the question is for how long? Because my impression, and I'm curious to get your impression if you felt the same way, and it really hit me when I was listening to Jimmy just kind of run down all the L's that Jay in particular has taken. I'm like, you know, it feels to me like this is a vehicle not to get the tag team belts back on the Usos and really entrench them in the tag team division, which is mostly dead, so much as it is a way to eventually get to a point where Jay turns on Jimmy. Crashes out again, turns heel. Maybe they get that tag team championship match and they take another L. And that's the ultimate crash out moment for Jey Uso, and he just can't take it anymore. And he turns on Jimmy, and we may well be in for another Jimmy and Jay match at WrestleMania next year, because I know that they would love to have a redo on the match that they had in Philadelphia 2 years ago, or last year, I guess, because that match sucked. It's one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. I'm sorry. So I know they would love to run that back again and have another crack at it. I'm sure they would. Jay has even acknowledged he was not happy with how that turned out. I think that may be where we're headed. So back together for now in the tag team division, but for how long? I don't know that this is going to be more than maybe a couple of months before things begin to disintegrate between these two. They don't win those tag team titles, Jay's going heel. Not Jimmy. Jay's going heel. First time it was Jimmy as the heel, right? And I think Jay was the babyface. This time it'll be the opposite. That's what I think. Big Brother may want to watch his back. After a break, Jackie Redmond was in the ring to introduce the women's world champion. Remember her? Yes, I know, in all the chaos of the women's tag team division stuff. And look, it's great that they're finally focusing on an actual division that they have. But I think that they've been doing that at the expense of both of their singles championships, the top world championships on both brands. Jade Cargill has no challenger. Stephanie Vicaire, she's in the wilderness. Where has she been? So let's see what they have in mind here. I was curious, like, who's next in line? Because Nikki Bella, right, one and done at Survivor Series. So who would be next up? Is it Raquel? Is it Roxanne? Is it somebody we're not thinking of? Is it Liv Morgan? So she congratulated Stephanie on her Survivor Series win over Nikki Bella. Jackie actually said, "You destroyed Nikki." I don't know that she destroyed her, but she beat her. Stephanie said that she wants to face everyone. She's not someone who talks too much. She speaks through her actions. She says she is the best. And no, it's not because of the devil's kiss. She is the best. And Nikki, you're a legend. Today in WWE, in the women's division, it's different than 15 years ago. She said, in this locker room, we have Rhea Ripley. We have Bayley. We have Natty. We have Io Sky. And do you know who is at the top? Well, do you know what happened next? Before she could answer that question, we heard Nikki fucking Bella's theme music. And my heart sank. I said, oh no. We can't be going back to this again. So Nikki walks out. She's got a mic. She said the fans in Kansas City didn't deserve a legend, a celebrity like her. She gets up on the apron. She demands a rematch with Stephanie. When all of a sudden Raquel Rodriguez shows up and pulls her down from the apron and then throws her head first into the ring post. Throws her, fuck! That scared the shit out of me. Throws her into the ring post head first and knocks her the fuck out. Down goes Nikki Bella. Thank you, Raquel. Never thought I would say that, but thank you, Raquel Rodriguez. To no reaction, though. Unfortunately for Raquel. She threw her into the ring post and got no reaction. So then Raquel got in the ring and she told Stephanie, you name the time and the place and I will be there to kick your ass. So now we know, the good news is now we know who's next in the line, and it's not Nikki Bella. It's Raquel Rodriguez, and I don't have an issue with that. If it was Raquel, if it was Roxanne, cool. But it was kind of sad how it didn't get any reaction. That was sad to watch. But at least we're moving on to something here, because Stephanie, it's so weird. For all the success that she's had, women's championship, crown jewel champion, I feel like I barely see her. She's barely a presence on these shows. That has to change. And frankly, I think she needs more promo time. Promos may be the weakest part of her game compared to everything she can offer inside the ring. And even that of late seems to be reduced to the devil's kiss. She even said in her promo, I'm not just the devil's kiss. Yeah, well, I mean, the way they portrayed you on TV over the last several months, that's pretty much like one of the only things people pop for, it seems like. Like, she's so much more than just that. But they put so much emphasis on it because it gets a big pop. So it's on them to show, hey, you know what? This woman could do more than just that. I saw someone had a video on X the other day. It was highlights of the match with Stephanie and Mercedes from Forbidden Door last year, right before she got signed by WWE. And I'm watching this match and I'm like, man, like, you know, she's doing other things. Like, we need to get that Stephanie Vicaire, you know, back on television here in WWE. So I want to see more of her. I want to hear more from her. There needs to be more emphasis on that Women's World Championship, not just the tag team titles. I know the tag team titles, it's an easy way to get like 6 or 8 different women involved at once. Rhea and Io and Asuka and all these names live, and that's great. But don't do it at the expense of your world championship. And that goes for Jade Cargill on SmackDown too. Jade Cargill may not be the best in-ring worker they have, not even close, but she needs people to work with. She needs to work with a Charlotte Flair. She needs to work with some of those, you know, what would be in the division, the elite level performers there, instead of just, you know, killing mid-carders every week, because that's going to get old really, really fast. It's already old. So don't focus on one thing at the expense of sort of the big picture here. I hope that going into 2026, and we're going into Rumble season, WrestleMania season, that should start to change. We'll get a pretty good sense of who Jade's going to be going up against and Stephanie's going to be going up against, assuming Stephanie is the champion going into WrestleMania. But yeah, it's just, it really hit me watching and listening to her tonight. Like, man, we We rarely get to see and hear from this woman on this show, and that needs to change. And maybe that's why all the women they have her working with and all the people around her, haven't been getting very big reactions. Because they're not dedicating a whole lot of time on television. That's part of the problem going into Survivor Series with Nikki Bella. Nobody cared. Nikki Bella had like that one heel promo where she ambushed Stephanie on the stage and then she spoke and you could hear a pin drop. Nobody cared. They have to change that. I'm curious if this new gimmick though with Nikki is going to be her basically coming out asking for a rematch and then just getting beaten up by random people every week and turn it into like a comedy gimmick. I mean, that could be entertaining. So we had Byron Saxton during the commercial break was interviewing Ivy Nile, who is getting a women's intercontinental title match on TV next week against Maxine Dupree. But she was with the Creeds. Some of you have asked me recently, whatever happened to the Creed brothers? Well, there they are. They're still around. They're still employed. I'm old enough to remember a period of time, even earlier this year, where people were looking at Julius Creed as maybe the next big breakout star from this pack of young stars on the WWE roster. Man, look at all these suplexes and all these fancy moves that Julius can do. I haven't heard his name mentioned in 6 months. I mean, you talk about someone who has been downplayed. It is scary. But they were there with Ivy as she was being interviewed. And she didn't care that Natalia, her old friend, was the one training Maxine. She said Maxine would drop the ball just like the Kansas City Chiefs did yesterday. And the crowd did not like that. They roundly booed this woman. Mind you, to the point that I just made. Literally, what was I just talking about? In terms of certain women not being focused on and not getting any reactions. So Nikki Bella goes into Survivor Series. Wrestles Stephanie for the Women's World Championship. And you wonder why people don't give a shit. Because Nikki Bella hadn't even won a match since July. And she's getting a title match, right? Ivy Nile can talk all she wants to about how Maxine Dupree has never beaten me before. But you know what? The last time that we saw Ivy Nile, the last time she wrestled on Raw was June. June! That's even worse than Nikki when she got her win over Chelsea Green. And the last time she won a match on TV, over a year ago. But she's in a championship match next week. So when she comes out to crickets and the crowd doesn't care, I want you to remember that. Backstage, the Judgment Day met. Balor was very happy that he had an easy night after Rey Mysterio got laid out. Raquel showed up and Liv Morgan was very surprised. She goes, how come you didn't run your plan by me? Right? To attack Stephanie. And Raquel said, well, I didn't know that we had to run these things by you. And Liv was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you getting a women's championship match. And then Raquel was all smiles. Oh, my bestie, right? Everything's cool. She goes, well, I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce about getting that championship match. So off she goes. And Liv turns to Roxanne Perez and said that I'm going to be in your corner tonight. And Roxanne's like, really? It's like, why? Because I have to protect you because it looks like you and I are going to be going after the women's tag team titles. So off they went to go prepare for Roxanne's match, which was up next, because finally it was time for another match on this show. It had been 30 minutes since we had a match on this show, and now we have another one. Lyra Valkyria with Bayley against Roxanne Perez, who had Liv Morgan in her corner. Bayley came out, and as she's kind of going around ringside, she briefly had a stare down with Sol Ruca, who was in the front row. Again, Bayley and Sol are going to be having a match on Saturday night's main event this weekend. So Lyra lifted Roxanne for a Northern Lights suplex for 2. Roxanne used the crooked referee, Jessica Carr, to take a cheap shot at Lyra. Roxanne sent Lyra into the steps, and then she started to ram her arm repeatedly into the steps, heading into a break. Roxanne was still working over the arm when they came back. Lyra hit a crossbody. Perez, though, bridged out of it And then later on, Roxanne got a Fujiwara armbar applied. Lyra got out. She hit a capture German suplex. Liv got up on the apron. Perez took advantage by hitting pop rocks off the distraction to pick up the win. The match was all right. Nothing special until the finish with all the interference from Liv, which was fucking lame. That finish was rough. It was. It looked like Liv missed. She threw a kick on the apron. It looked like it missed. And then she threw another one, and that didn't look good. So, yeah, that finish was no good. After this, we got another dungeon training vignette. I enjoyed the one they did last week. This was part 2. This was with Maxine Dupree. She tapped out a whole bunch of women, every single one of them in the ankle lock. You see them tap out, and then Maxine would stand up and she would scream, again, after each one. So a new opponent would come in and she would tap them out again, and then another one would come in until finally Natty stepped in and said, how about me? So the two of them start wrestling and trading control back and forth. And again, they shot this in a very like kind of dark, gritty way. And she ends up tapping out Natty in the ankle lock. And then she still wanted more as the segment ended. And I'm really liking these, but again, I think I said this last week. I just find it hilarious that this woman is training harder after she won the championship than she ever did before she won the championship. Like these segments you would think would air before she won the title, but they're actually airing after. But they did establish that her ankle lock works. And so that's going to be the setup for her beating Ivy Nile next week. When she beats Ivy, it's going to be with the ankle lock. They're really trying to get that hold over. I think this is the kind of character building that they should do more of with people on these shows. Like this type of segment, this type of stuff right here is great. And it's going to help get Maxine over that much more. At least you hope it is. And it's the sort of thing that they should be doing more of as they call people up from NXT and they try to get some new faces established instead of just kind of throwing them into the deep end of the pool without anybody really knowing a lot about them. This is really where you help build character and really show the audience something about these people, you know, that you want to help get over. In this case, it's her grit and her determination, right? She gets knocked down, she gets right back up. Right? They're trying to really get her over as a babyface. Great. These are great. We had LA Knight against Logan Paul. Yes, we're already up to the main event here. And they were out to the ring. It was before 10 p.m. It was like a few minutes before 10 p.m. And I'm looking at this going, these guys aren't going 30 minutes. So it's a little early to get to the main event. Something must be happening after the main event. Logan gave Knight a cheap shot as he entered the ring. Knight fought back. He cleared off the announce desk outside before bouncing Logan's head off the table multiple times. Knight was in control until Logan in the ring hit a zigzag for a near fall, or I guess a danger zone, I guess is what he calls it now. Logan hit an alley-oop facebuster when they came back. Knight fought back with a leaping clothesline, the Russian leg sweep, neck breaker. Here come the Bronze, marching down to the ring. As Knight set up on the top rope, Logan used that brief distraction to knock Knight off the top. He hit a clunky-looking flying crossbody for 2. Knight countered a gut-wrench slam into a reverse DDT, and he followed that up with his leaping elbow drop off the top. Knight knocked Breaker off the apron, but he got knocked down by Reed, and the referee ejected the Bronze from ringside, but they did not immediately leave. Now, Knight attacks Logan over by the announce desk. And you could see on the other side, the referee is trying to get Breaker and Reed out of there. As Knight is quarreling with Logan over by the announce desk, he has his head like leaned over in such a way where the masked man reappears. And he gets on top of the announce desk and he gives LA Knight a stomp on top of the desk. So they get back in the ring, and Logan follows with a frog splash, and he picks up the win. You know, as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, LA Knight loses yet another main event match. Back-to-back shows, actually. Very impressive. Impressive that he was in the main event, but not so impressive that he lost. both matches. Like, it's nice to be in the main event. If you have been following these reviews over the last several months, you'll remember that LA Knight actually had quite a few main events, almost all of them against various members of the Vision. And he lost, I think, all but maybe one. So it was not a very successful summer unless you just judge it on the fact that, well, at least he was in the main event. He gets paid the same no matter what. If that's really all that matters to him, then maybe he doesn't care. It's not like the old days where you get paid based on where you are on the card and if you have a belt. I think Punk talked about this recently. He goes, no, it's not like that now. You get paid like whatever your contract amount is, whatever your salary is, you get paid the same whether you're in the main event or you're jerking the curtain, whether you're winning or whether you're losing. So maybe LA Knight is like, you know what? As long as the checks keep getting cashed, you want to pin me and pay me, then so be it. I don't know. That would be a great attitude for him to have, because if he cares about where this, character is going on the television show from week to week, he's got to be pulling his fucking hair out of his head, wondering, what do I have to do to kind of get by here to that next level? What do I have to do? What do I have to say? I don't know. But another loss here for LA Knight. Now, the Bronze attacked him when the match was over. Breaker speared Knight. Reed then hit him with not one but two tsunami splashes. So as Knight is helped out of the ring and off to the back, Paul Heyman gets into the ring with a mic just as they went to one final commercial break. And during the commercial, Heyman talked as slowly as I possibly could, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you know the way Paul Heyman talks. And he did it as slowly as he could as he introduced each member of the Vision one by one, just to kill time until they came back. I feel like that's what 75% of these shows are really every week, is just trying to find ways to kill time. So they briefly cut to the back and they show LA Knight being carried. He's got his arms over these two guys and they're carrying him through the back. But they just cut to it for like 3 or 4 seconds. And then they just cut back to what was going on in the ring. I'm like, they mean to do that? Like, one last indignity. Let's just go to the back really quick and show this guy being helped off by a couple of geeks. So Heyman promised a new World Heavyweight Champion on January 5th. And he said his name is Braun Breaker. And he hands the mic off to Breaker, who said that he just has one question. Where is CM Punk? He's certainly not here, because if he was, there would be 2 losses back-to-back in Kansas City. He doesn't mean where is CM Punk physically. He's asking, where is the real CM Punk? Because this new guy, this new nice guy, CM Punk, he doesn't buy it. He doesn't believe him. Now he follows all the rules these days, and he's taking pictures with all the talent in the back. He's a fraud. He said, imagine preaching your entire career that you're straight edge. You've never done drugs a day in your life. I've never drank a sip of alcohol. Yet he ends up looking like the biggest crack addict that anyone has ever seen. He doesn't want to face the new nice guy CM Punk on January 5th, because he'll kill that guy. What he wants is the old CM Punk. He wants the guy from 2011, 2012, 2013. I don't think he wants that guy, actually. That was the guy that had the, what was the thing that he had? That pus-filled thing that he was wrestling with? God, I remember him telling that story. When he finally went to go get it drained, and like they opened it up, what was it? Like a cyst or something? He goes like it like squirted all over the room. Like, oh, God. It was some kind of infection that he had. That's what they gave him the Z-Pack for. But that's what he wants. He wants the CM Punk from 2011 or 2012 or 2013. He said he wants the guy who walked around as someone who was feared in the back. Well, that would be 2023 CM Punk, who made Tony Khan fear for his life. So he should have said that. He should have said, I want 2023 CM Punk. The man who made people fear for their lives. That's the guy that I want. The guy that went around punching other people in the fucking face. He didn't say that. He said, I want the guy who beat The Rock. And I'm I stopped and I'm like, I don't think that you're looking for the right guy then, because in fact, CM Punk has never beaten The Rock. So I don't know what he was talking about there, because officially he has 2 losses to The Rock, but he has no wins over The Rock. Not counting that Royal Rumble match where it got overturned. That didn't count. They ran the match back and The Rock won. So yeah, I don't know what he was talking about there. He goes, I want the guy who held the world title for over 434 days. Actually, it was exactly 434 days. The guy who was one of the greatest wrestlers to lace up a pair of boots. And he begged for the old CM Punk so that he could beat the best in the world, because if he doesn't get that CM Punk, he's going to brawn break him. And he's going to take his world heavyweight title. And while he's at it, he'll take his wife too. All of a sudden, in the back, up on the Tron, they cut back to LA Knight, who is shooing away the geeks. I don't need any help. I don't want any help. Meanwhile, Logan Paul and Bronson Reed have left the ring. They're on their way to the back. So we cut back to Braun Breaker again. This was all very weird. This whole segment, it felt as if, somebody said this and I agree, it felt as if they had something else planned and they had to like stretch for time. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but like it was laid out in a very weird way that felt like we have time to kill. So let's just drag this out as long as we possibly can. So now they cut back to Braun Breaker again. And he said with Punk, it'll be spear 1, 2, 3. Spear 1, 2. He repeated this a few times. Then we cut back to the backstage area again. And Logan Paul and Bronson Reed are again, they are attacking LA Knight. LA Knight has no friends. This is what I learned tonight, is that LA Knight evidently has absolutely no friends in the back. Now, we know Jey Uso is not too fond of him, so I wouldn't expect him to come out and do anything. But this guy has no fucking friends. Think of all the people in the back that they had there tonight, right? That we saw on the show, right? AJ Styles and Dragon Lee and the War Raiders. I mean, I'm sure they had plenty of baby faces in the back. Nobody came out to help LA Knight. So he's getting the shit kicked out of him. And then there happens to be a table there. So they pick him up and they power bomb him through the table. And they're like, look at this guy, right? And they start to walk off, and then they turn and they see he's stirring again, right? He's still alive. He's not fully buried yet. There's a hand coming up out of the dirt. So they pick him back up again. They drop him face first on the hood of a nearby SUV. Reed then tells Logan, put him on the hood of the car, because there's a bunch of equipment cases all stacked up. So Reed goes to climb. This is the same angle they did with him and Braun Strowman in the parking lot, which was a great angle when they did it. That was outdoors. He stood on a concrete wall when he dove off. That was more impressive. But he climbed to the top of these equipment boxes, and LA Knight is sprawled out on the roof of this car. And Bronson Reed jumps off and he hits a fucking tsunami splash onto the roof of the car for the second time in his life. This is the second time he's done this. And he squashes LA Knight. Adam Pearce shows up. He's screaming. He's got officials. Get medics, right? He's like losing his mind. And that is how they went off the air. So rest in peace, LA Knight. It was nice knowing you. And after the show was over, they strapped him to a gurney. They loaded him into the ambulance and off he went to the hospital. And this was a way to write him off television. Question is, why? Was this something that was requested? Was this something like a planned vacation? Was this something entirely different? I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'm watching this angle, and part of me is like, I wonder if we're going to get the news item from Fightful in a day or two. Like, LA Knight and WWE have parted ways. Like, I don't think so. But like, that thought did occur to me. Like, I don't know. I don't know where he goes from here. It could be as simple. He's getting time off. He's going to be back for the Royal Rumble. He gets a big pop. He gets eliminated. And then it's on to whatever they're going to do with him. I have said that if Chris Jericho comes back, I could absolutely see Jericho and Knight as a WrestleMania program. And I think that that could actually work, because you have two guys who know how to use a microphone, right? They know how to talk. I think they could get that over. I almost like it with Knight going heel just because as over as he is as a babyface, it's very clear that he's only going to go so far. If turning heel is going to give him more opportunities to do more, because maybe they just, maybe they have a surplus of baby faces and there's no room for him. So sometimes it makes more sense to go heel. That's what happened with Bret Hart in 97. Now he's told the story. He went to Vince. Vince, he's like, he didn't want to go heel. They wanted him to go heel. He didn't want to go heel. And they presented him with a list. They said, okay, if you stay babyface, here's a list of the heels that you're going to work with. And the number one guy on the list that he would have worked with, it was Vader. He didn't want to work with Vader. He thought Vader smelled. He didn't want to work with him. But if you go heel, here's all the guys that you'll be able to work with. And he had Undertaker and he had Shawn Michaels. He had like all these people. He's like, you know what? I'll go heel. So maybe that makes more sense for LA Knight. I don't know, but I still feel like if Jericho comes in, that's probably going to be a WrestleMania match. And honestly, that's not a bad place for LA Knight to be. I'll just say this. When I talked about the SmackDown result on Friday, I said the right man won. Gunther should have won that tournament. Gunther did win the tournament. He is the right man for that spot against John Cena on Saturday. I'm not saying that I think LA Knight should have been in that match. I actually don't think he should be in that match. The bigger issue is that you have a guy here who is very over, is actually more over than he should be for the level of push that he gets. And he can talk. It's one of his strongest attributes, more so than a lot of other people on the roster. I think he is someone that even if, okay, it's not time for him to be the world champion, right? But you should want to protect someone like that as much as possible. When you constantly put him in situations where he's losing and losing and losing and losing and losing, what ends up happening is, if it hasn't already happened, you get a reputation for being a loser. That's the problem. When there's no end in sight and all you do is lose, you become the Dolph Ziggler of WWE. Talented guy. Everybody loves him. Good dude. But not necessarily the place that you want to be if you have aspirations to do more, right? In WWE. You don't want to just be that guy. And I feel like if he's not already there, he's rapidly approaching that territory where it's going to be hard for him to really break out of that. And he won't be as over as he is now. And I don't want to see that happen. But the more you lose, I know people say, oh, well, wins and losses, they don't matter. Or they don't mean as much as they used to. No, they still matter. They still matter. Because you will have guys that will always win and will be kept super strong, like Gunther largely has been since he came to the main roster. And you can see how that benefits someone. So I'm not saying LA Knight needs to win every match that he's in, but when you have a guy like that and he's constantly being beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten and made to look like a fucking idiot, it's not going to, he's not bulletproof. He's not a made man like a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar. He's not made. It will eventually have an effect. That's the issue. And I think that more than anything is what bothers people. So then to see what they did on the show tonight, it almost made me laugh. It's like, it's actually very fitting what they did with him at the end of the show tonight. And it does make you wonder, how Triple H really feels about this guy. Doesn't seem to me like he's one of Triple H's boys. Whatever he may have done, whatever he may have said, I don't know. But I think there's definitely something going on there. But bye. At least for a while. Bye, LA Knight. Enjoy the rest of your year. We'll see you in 2026, maybe. And then we'll see if things go any differently for him. But I'm going to guess that the answer to that is no. The Saturday night's main event card for this weekend. Yeah, Blue Neon, look, he says LA Knight needs a talk show. I don't know if you heard the, what review was it? Last week or the week before? I literally just got done talking about this. We had a whole discussion about what to call it. Like, I agree. I think he is very much like of this current era of WWE, probably the closest thing to like a Roddy Piper type, a Chris Jericho type, right? They had their own talk show segments. I think that it would work with him. I think absolutely you could do an LA Knight talk segment and maybe even use that to help spark some feuds for him. I mean, you could do it with him as a babyface, but I just feel like he's a natural heel. I think at the end of the day, he's going to gravitate towards that because I feel like that's going to end up being the role for him. But yeah, talk show segment with LA Knight. Let me talk to you. There it is. Let me talk to you with LA Knight. Perfect. Saturday night's main event this weekend. 4 matches. What are they? Bayley against Sol Ruca. We've got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Javon Evans and Leon Slater. We have Cody Rhodes against Oba Femi, where I am expecting a Drew McIntyre appearance to ruin the festivities. And in the main event, John Cena, his final ever match, wrestles Gunther. 4 matches. That is what they have on tap so far. Maybe some surprise appearances. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a Dave Bautista. Maybe a Dwayne Johnson, who just got nominated, I saw, for a Golden Globe for the Smashing Machine. I think that's his first nomination. So anyway, I will be live for the full post show on Saturday. We have a lot to come before that. We have TNT tomorrow night. We have the Dynamite Winter is Coming review on Wednesday, SmackDown on Friday. You got a lot of content before we get to Saturday, but I'll be live on Saturday as well. Here's the poll. What did you think of Raw? From Kansas City, 56.3% thumbs up, 43.7% thumbs down for tonight's show. And that is with nearly 900 votes and counting in so far. Hey, Nicholas, welcome to the channel. Retro KOH says, new talk show segment, late at night with LA Knight. No, it's got to be Let Me Talk to You. I mean, come on, man. That's why I always say, like, when The Undertaker started his podcast, I'm like, how do you not call that dead man talking? And I just assume that's already trademarked by somebody else. Let me talk to you. They should play that like when they say it, they should play that at the very end. It's like, let me talk to you. And then you hear. Maybe Kairi should get her own segment. Actually, Kairi and Asuka, maybe they should get their own segment. Oh, man. Poor LA Knight. Would LA Knight have succeeded in the golden era? In the golden era, yes. In the Attitude Era, no. In the Attitude Era, he would not have succeeded because he clearly borrows from Steve Austin and The Rock. And so it would have been so incredibly obvious back then. Or actually, maybe those guys were only really first getting over in those roles. So maybe he would have borrowed from somebody else. It would have been a totally different person. But in the golden era, yeah, I think, he like keeps himself in good shape. He's, decent size. There were a lot of giants and fucking monsters back then. But Knight's in good shape. He can talk. Yeah, I think he would do well. He'd be fed to Hogan, and as everybody else was. But sure. We got dried ribs and chicken with flavor. It says Triple H fears Oba Femi. I'm telling you, man, if Oba Femi comes up to the main roster and they fuck him up, like, you would have to be super just out to lunch to be handed Oba Femi and find a way to fuck it up. Also, Becky Lynch should have dressed up as Max Mayfield from Stranger Things. Yeah, Becky Lynch is still protesting, refusing to show up on Raw until she gets her rematch for the Intercontinental title. And the worst thing to have on the holiday season is eating a dried prime rib. Yeah, that would sound like a bad idea. That doesn't sound very appetizing. Victor, what are your favorite John Cena matches? John Cena against CM Punk, Chicago, Money in the Bank, 2011. That's my number one. In terms of John Cena matches, that would be number one. Very, very close, though, would be his SummerSlam match in 2016 with AJ Styles, and then their Royal Rumble match in 2017. That was the one where Cena won title number 16. So those are a few. Daniel Bryan, SummerSlam 2013. Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules in 2012. Just to name a few. Of course, the Raw match from the UK with Shawn Michaels is another one. I was never really a fan of any of the matches with Triple H. Their WrestleMania match and stuff. Like, didn't do anything for me. And how would you describe John Cena's overall legacy? When I think of John Cena's legacy, I see him as the first babyface that the fans really rebelled against, like in a very visceral way. I see him as the ultimate company guy who did everything that was asked of him and, you know, was someone that they could rely on, who never got into trouble and would never create any sort of problems or headaches for them. And also the ultimate ambassador for them when it came to their work with Make-A-Wish. Nobody did more than John Cena did. Those are probably the key three things I think of when I think of Cena and the legacy that he leaves behind. Victor also says, are you good at doing any wrestling impressions? No. I'm good at doing the impression of a wrestling podcaster. I'm pretty good at that. Aaron with a $9.99. I wonder if the plan is for Cody to lose to Drew. Cody wins and turns heel in the rematch out of desperation and faces Roman. Drew then gets to have a proper main event babyface run in front of fans. I admire your optimism for Drew McIntyre getting that proper run, but I'm going to say no. Cody may well go heel, either going into or coming out of WrestleMania next year. I actually just talked about this on the podcast yesterday. I laid out a couple of different scenarios for that, none of which involve Drew McIntyre. I don't see that happening. Phil, Lyra Valkyria is boring, and this Raw crowd is dead. Yeah, not the best crowd tonight. I don't find Lyra boring. I think Lyra is quite good. Ragnarok, Triple H and WWE got what they wanted. I will never buy Kairi Sane or LA Knight winning any prominent singles matches. C's, how over was Io tonight? Io's always over. When Io gets going in the course of a match and then she flips to her feet and she starts pointing at herself, it doesn't matter what city they're in, how hot the crowd is, not hot the crowd is, like, crowd always gets behind her. Alfonso with a $9.99. F you, Triple H. How can you do that to someone as talented as LA Knight? We need fresh faces on top, for God's sake. Obafemi better win on Saturday. Now, a lot of people think that Obafemi is going to win or that he should win. Obafemi winning would be great, but I'm thinking Drew McIntyre is going to show up. Play a role. Maybe Oba wins because Drew gets involved. I don't know, but I'm not convinced that's going to happen. By the way, we're 7 out of 10 on the bonus goal. We already unlocked one round of Be the Booker. We passed 400 likes. We need 3 more of those 10 or over super chats, and then we get a intergender round. Will we hit the goal? Super Pony, RIP LA Knight, 2021 to 2025. Back to Max Dupree you go. You imagine, like, they wrote him off television tonight just to bring him back as Max Dupree to manage Maxine during her title run. Would you really be surprised? MGM Ballin with a $9.99 had a whole rant about triple XL nose and LA Knight, but it wouldn't let me send. It's all right. I could feel your rage through the super chat. It's all good. Base Beerus got my green skull tonight. I love it. Keep forgetting like what the red skull corresponds to, the green, the blue. I think the blue is, I want to say 50 months and above of membership. Super Pony, Cena should win. Gunther will be fine. Yeah, Gunther's going to be fine, win or lose. I agree. I think Cena should win. Base Beerus, Gunther beats Cena. Lesnar face off afterwards. No. Not on this show. They're going to save that for another time. Why would you do a face-off on this show? If they have a match, it's not going to happen until WrestleMania. You could build something in the Rumble match. The hell are you going to have them face off now for? Unless they're wrestling at the Rumble. That's way too early to do that. Alexander, what happened to LA Knight tonight reminded me of when Hunter dropped a diarrhea splash on their Spirit Squad and Vince in like 06, 07. Ah, yes, the toilet humor that Vince loves so much. Isaac, buy or sell Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago? I mean, I love Mr. T, but I mean, you got to go Drago, man. You got to go. That's a classic story from Rocky IV. Base Beerus, Vacant attacked Ray. He's here to take. He does resemble Vacant. That's true, actually. I hadn't really put two and two together on that. I said, boy, this guy reminds me of someone. Dude here 73. After the Madison Square Garden show, I questioned Gunther's new theme, forgetting that it was his old NXT theme. Well, I can now say with certainty this theme is better than the Def Rebel theme. Also, best wishes to LA Knight. Yes, best wishes to LA Knight as he is convalescing now in the hospital. Being treated for those severe burns that he sustained tonight. Burned by the booking. Tokes Kazim. Raquel Rodriguez needs that big title push. Ever since Kevin Nash was like, she needs to start working big. She sort of adapted her style. And she's made noticeable improvements, even just in her presentation. She seems more confident now when she's in the ring. She stands above everybody, not just because she's taller than a lot of the women, but she stands above them. She carries herself, like a monster of the division, which is what she should be doing. Phil says, love Stephanie, but the devil's kiss is losing its bite. Good, then maybe people will start paying attention to the rest of her work and not just one fucking move. Duff's Vids, why was E the only one to get presents for Christmas? All the other letters were naughty. Yes, not E. Naughty. Where'd you find that one? All the other letters were naughty. MGM ball, and it's almost as if Triple H was the one behind the camera, like, LOL, look at this dork. Get him, boys. Well, I mean, he puts the show together, so in a way, he was directing it. My coworker told me her son watches WWE and, of course, loves Jey Uso. I asked him if he likes AEW and yelled, AEW sucks. Oh, the kid yelled that. I didn't know tribalism starts that young. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos Galvan with the $9.99. It's terrible. Oh, man. That kid's going to grow up to be air gold. Barry MK400 said, Sean Ross Sapp posted about most of WWE's library slowly coming to YouTube. For the NXT fans, every show from 2012 to May of 2015, 2019 is already up. They post a full NXT show every day. I've noticed that on the NXT channel. The issue is when it comes to like the library that they have on Peacock right now for things like Primetime Wrestling, Superstars, Mid-South, World Class. Like, where is that going? There's been no clarity. There's been no clarity at all. Like, their communication throughout this whole thing for the fans that care about this kind of shit has been fucking atrocious. It's like me showing up to Subway today. I haven't been to Subway in months. I wanted to get a sandwich. And I always get flatbread. And they're like, no, we don't have that anymore. They stopped selling flatbread. I'm like, what are you talking about? A few months ago, you still had flatbread. Yo, we don't have it anymore now. I'm like, you have like 6 different breads. You got rid of the one that I liked? What the fuck? So now I find out that evidently starting at the beginning of the year, it will be up to the individual stores, I guess, whether or not they carry flatbread. But like they stopped selling it, but yet if you go on the app, it's still listed on there. Like they don't know what they're doing and their communication is awful. Like you just don't even let people know. It's like, oh, we'll just take it away. We'll still list it on the website or we'll have it in the app, but yeah, we don't have that anymore. Communication. Communication is key with your customers. Duff's Vids, what goes OOO? Santa walking backwards. Abyssal Zones. Who would have thought back in 2022, when LA Knight got his name back, that Triple H would end up being more excited to push Maxine Dupree than him? Yeah. Maxine Dupree and Jey Uso and Julia is completely fucked. LA Knight's a loser. I don't know, man. Fox says, "Is Ricky Saints a oh, I read that wrong. Is Ricky Saints a trans champion? He sure ain't holding belts for a transitional champion. I see. He sure ain't holding belts for long. Side note, enjoy the review. Thank you, Fox." I don't think Ricky Saints, he already lost the belt though. Oh, he ain't holding belts for long. I see. Yeah, I don't think his time in NXT is going to be that great. I think he'll be main roster bound sooner than later. Leopoldo says, yes, because right now LA segment is Let Me Lose to Ya. Well, that's an awful segment. We have to do away with that segment. MGM Ballin with a $9.99. Why is Yeet Man favored over LA? Do you think Rikishi found Triple H in the same way Meadow Soprano's boyfriend found Vito? Sorry, just watched that episode last night. Or is it a kayfabe favor for running over Stone Cold Steve Austin? Well, you know, Meadows' boyfriend has a name, you know. His name was Finn. Well, the Yeet Man is Samoan. LA Knight is not. Maybe, I'll tell you what. If LA Knight comes back, like he's going to go away for a while. If LA Knight comes back and he's got like the tribal tattoos and everything, grows his hair out a little bit, I think Triple H might give him a bigger push. He'll get like the sleeves and everything. He's going to travel. He's going to travel all the way over there. He's gonna join like one of the families of the tribes and try to ingratiate himself and get all the markings and the tattoos and come back and just try to like fit in. Like, all right, ready for my push now. C's, what's your favorite Io Sky match this year? It's between the WrestleMania Triple Threat match and the Evolution match with Rhea Ripley. I could go either way. I lean towards. I really want to lean towards the Rhea match. I just love the one-on-one matches. But then they kind of ruined it with the Money in the Bank cash-in. But I'm inclined to go Rhea and Io, but we'll see where they rank when I do my top matches of the year countdown. It's definitely one of those two, though. Emperor Comet, what was that weird noise on the podcast when commenting on John Cena's theme? I need that as a sound. Oh, that was part of John Cena's theme song. It's the Brr Abudu. I'm not going to repeat it. I had a whole segment on the podcast about the lawsuit that John Cena is facing over his theme music. Duff's Vids, what's the difference between black-eyed peas and chickpeas? Black-eyed peas can sing us a song, but chickpeas can only hum us a song. Holy shit wrestling. Never forget when Jesus returned to Earth. You thought I was going to say Jesus. Jesus returned to Earth just to stab John Cena and then jobbed to him 13 days from Christmas at a pay-per-view called Armageddon. I do remember that. I do remember that. Bobby means with the route that Raquel Rodriguez is going, she might just find herself vying for that women's world title in 2026. Could you see her possibly being a dark horse in the Royal Rumble? She's not winning the Rumble. I don't even have her as a dark horse. I would not be shocked if she eventually finds her way to the championship, but she's not winning the Royal Rumble. What do you get when you pick a pig's nose? Ham boogers. Oh my God. You deserve that one. I'm sorry, brother, but that one you deserve. Jeremy Rose, Nikki is the cockroach that won't go away. I thought that was TNA. Leopoldo says, if Cody goes heel, wouldn't it be great to turn Drew face again because of the same means he became a heel by continuing to talk truth to Cody's political BS? That would be very apropos, wouldn't it? I think it would be, but I don't see them doing it. I just don't see them doing it. Nick Grasso with a $9.99. Buy or sell on the better cop duo, Riggs and Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon or Lee and Carter from Rush Hour? I gotta go Riggs and Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon, man. I'm a little more old school in that way. I gotta go with my Lethal Weapon crew. Of course, they're no Hunter and McCall, but then again, who is? And Jeremy Rose, I know it don't look good today, but is it too late for LA Knight to win Money in the Bank? Has his time passed? Yes. There were two different Money in the Bank matches where I feel like he should have won one of them at least, and he didn't. And you just get to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm not going to continue to do this where I assume, well, this is the time, this is the year, it's going to be different now. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. There'll be somebody else, that they come up with the idea for, hey, we got to get the briefcase on this guy, or we got this new kid that we called up. We got to put the Money in the Bank on him. And LA Knight's just not going to be that guy. It's just not going to happen. That's right. It's what Murtaugh said, man. I'm too old for this shit. All right, well, we hit the bonus goal and the main goal, which means we get a dual Be the Booker. The second of which will have a bonus intergender round where we will do, in the bonus round, we will do tag, women's, and men's. We'll do 3 matches. I guess I mean, I guess there'll be men and women mixed in all three, but we'll have some fun with that. Navy with a 5. After what Breaker said about his wife, maybe instead of the 2013 version, Punk can channel his inner macho man and cut a mean Tuesday in Texas promo. I don't think he has it in him. Savage went down deep in his acting chops for that promo. There's nobody on the roster right now that can replicate what he did in that promo. If you've never seen that promo, I think without context, you really need the context and everything that led up to it. But you should definitely check out that promo. They just uploaded it to the vault, actually, the other day on the Tuesday in Texas show. All right, let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Nav in the chat says LA Knight's a bum. Yes. Yes, he is. I don't disagree. All right, we land on Nick Aldis calls for you to add a stipulation. Dude, I just started. You already want me to add stipulations. Nick Aldis wants me to add a stipulation. All right, well, we're getting a stipulation now for this tag team match. We're already off to the races here. Oh, my God. Anarchy in the arena. Are you fucking kidding me now? How am I going to do this? It's supposed to be a tag team match. All right, well, then we'll do this then. We'll start with the guys. We're going to book in reverse this time. And we're going to book an Anarchy in the Arena match. Although I guess Anarchy in the Arena, it is technically a tag team match. But we have to do it with individuals, though. So what is it? Is it 4-on-4 or 5? It's 5-on-5, isn't it? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm going to need your help, guys. Because I'm going to pick 10 different wrestlers here. And I need you to remember who I'm picking as I'm going along here. Okay, so pull out the old pencil and paper. And let's keep track of things here. I'm going to build our first team here in Anarchy in the Arena. We have Rob Van Dam. Not bad. We have Jushin Thunder Liger. Okay, are you keeping track of this? This is the first team here. RVD. Jushin Thunder Liger. What a team so far. Oh my God. Bruno Sammartino. We have RVD, Liger, Bruno, AJ Styles. This is like the best team ever. I know who I'm picking here. And the last member of their squad, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. So we have RVD, Jushin Thunder Liger, Bruno Sammartino, AJ Styles, and the British Bulldog. Do I even have to pick another team? How are we going to beat that? We got to pick now the other team. That's just one team. What music am I going to play throughout Anarchy in the Arena? That's a good question. I'm going to play Barbie Girl by Aqua. All right, here's the other team. The former AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland. Well, he'll love him a good Anarchy in the Arena match. Oh my God. Swerve Strickland and then his partner, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, who says, that don't work for me, brother, but you ain't got no choice. You're teaming up with Swerve Strickland, whether you like it or not. We got Swerve. We got Hollywood. We got no. Can't do that. You can't have Bruno. Bruno is already taken. Bruno is already taken. We must choose again. One big son of a bitch, Braun Strowman, has joined the crew. Oh, look who it is, everybody. We know who's losing this match. Look at that. We know what the L in LA Knight stands for. LA Knight is in Anarchy in the Arena. How do you like that? Swerve Strickland, Hollywood Hogan, Braun Strowman, LA Knight. And Terry Funk. Dude, these teams are incredible. You got Swerve Strickland, Hollywood Hogan, and Terry Funk all on the same team. But we know who's winning. It is not this team. LA Knight will take the losing fall for his team because it has to be. It just has to be. Now we can pick a tag team match. I don't think we're going to be able to top that. I mean, that match just came out of nowhere, but holy shit. What a combination of teams that is. Yeah, I think Bruno gets the win over LA Knight in that one. Hogan's team may lose, but he ain't taking the losing fall. We have the Real Americans. We have Cesaro and Jack Swagger. In tag team Be the Booker. And they're going to be taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H. The two-man power trip. And the women get the main event spot. We are giving the women the main event here in Be the Booker. And it's going to be Lana in the main event of Be the Booker. Lana against Rhea Ripley. I've already given it the buzzer because Lana in the main event of Be the Booker, it gets a buzzer. I mean, there's no other button to push. But I wanted to see who she would wrestle, and she will be wrestling Rhea Ripley. So there you go. I mean, hey, could be worse. Could have been Lana against Rosa Mendez or something. Look at that skull. Well, it's too bad because this really should have been a clean sweep, but could Rhea even make that work? I don't think so. I don't think Rhea can make that work. It would basically just be a squash. I don't want no squash in my main event. And Rhea pins LA Knight somehow. Yes, let's sub LA Knight. That could have been the intergender match in the next round. We could very well, before we are done here, we could very well book LA Knight in an intergender match to lose to one of the women here. All right, so promised you that you get a second round, and I intend to deliver on that promise. So here's what we're going to do, because we don't have women's tag team Be the Booker. There aren't enough women's tag teams. Although now there probably, you know what? Now there probably would be enough for a women's tag team round. If you include the WWE women's tag teams and the AEW women's tag teams. I'll have to write that down. We're going to pick a men's tag team, and then I'm going to pick two individual women. So that's how this round is going to work. Oh, you son of a bitch. Choose 2 single stars to form a makeshift team. Okay, so actually, you know what? That might work better. Because we're basically doing that with the women already. So we'll just do that with the men. All right, let's pick the women first. We're going to pick 2 women at random, and then we're going to pick 2 men at random. And that's going to be our tag team match. See, it all worked out. Luna Vachon. I like Luna. I met Luna, by the way. Twice. And total sweetheart. I don't want to ruin the gimmick, but she was a sweetheart. Luna Vachon and Alexa Bliss. It is Dark Alexa. Dark Alexa. All right. So now we got to pick the boys. This will be very interesting. We have, someone asked about him before. We have Ricky Saints. Luna Vachon and Dark Alexa against Ricky Saints and Mike Santana. Not for nothing, I think Luna Vachon would give Ricky Saints a run for his money. I think she would probably put a beating on Ricky Saints. Interesting, though, right? Interesting tag team match there. I give that a bell. I like that match. All right. And now we got 2 matches left. Very simple. 1 man, 1 woman. And that's going to wrap up Be the Booker. So here we go. Luna and Alexa, though, as a tag team. What an interesting team that would be. We have Sol Ruka. Hang 10, everybody. Hang 10. It's Sol Ruka wrestling Bayley this weekend. Big match coming up. Sol Ruka stepping into the squared circle with who? Don't be Kali. Don't be Kali. Uh-oh. She's stepping in the ring with Samoa Joe. Not going to end well for Sol Ruka. Can you imagine Samoa Joe feeding into the Soul Snatcher? Look, I'm a fan of the Soul Snatcher. There are certain times, though, that she will hit the move where it's like, you know what? She really should have like a second finishing maneuver. Sometimes the way these women feed into it looks a little ridiculous. Sol Ruka and Samoa Joe. How's that for a match? Yeah, Sol's not going to do too well in that. She's not going to fare very well in that match. And now we have our main event. All comes down to this. Could be a clean sweep. Raquel Rodriguez. We just talked about her. Raquel Rodriguez looking for a women's championship match that she will be getting very soon. But first, she must step into the ring with this gentleman right here. Mr. Bob Backlund against Raquel Rodriguez. Mr. Backlund would like everybody to know that he does not eat marijuana. He's going to put Raquel in the crossface chicken wing. She's going to find a way to counter out of it and pick him up for the Tejana bomb. And she will pin Mr. Backlund. And he will end up snapping and losing his mind. That's your main event. Crossface chicken wing. Second best move ever. Behind the sharpshooter. It was my favorite submission to put on my brother when I was a kid. And a painful one, too. If his screams were any indication. Raquel for the well, Crazy Bob, man. Crazy Bob. Crazy Bob was great. We got Wink the Cosmic Grandma. Thank you for being a channel member. We got Paul Carpenter, 32 months of membership, says, I am the masked man. Well, that's very lame if you're the masked man. What a terrible reveal. We can do better. Paul says, just seeing if you got the... Yes, I did. I just got it. Thank you, brother. Joe says, rest in peace, Larry. Knight wasn't as buried as Eli Drake. That's true. In Duff's Vids. Had to fire one of the fruit truck drivers yesterday. I had to let... oh, my God. I had to let the man go. The mango. He was driving me bananas. All right. I had to let the man go. He was driving me bananas. That was actually well done. I hate to say it, but that was actually well done. LA Knight should go crazy and bring back the crossface chicken wing. That would be great. I would love to see that. Crazy LA Knight with the big eyes, just putting the chicken wing on people. Favorite James Bond movie? Favorite James Bond movie? It's funny, you know, one of my favorite ones is the last one that Roger Moore ever did, which is probably the most hated one. A View to a Kill with Christopher Walken. I liked a lot of his. He was my guy when it came to James Bond. I kind of grew up with him. I know a lot of people would say Sean Connery, but, you know, The Spy Who Loved Me. It might be The Spy Who Loved Me, but like The Spy Who Loved Me, Octopussy. Yes, that was the name of the movie. But I like Daniel Craig also, and Casino Royale. You know what? Casino Royale may be my second favorite Bond movie. I really enjoyed Casino Royale. Goldfinger, yeah. Again, that's not really my jam. Duff's Vids, you went out on a high note, brother. You saved the best for last. No tomatoes from me. Yeah, The Spy Who Loved Me was great. I mean, remember Jaws with the metal teeth? My favorite is GoldenEye. It's a great game. Thank you guys for a fun stream tonight. I'm going to be live with you back here on this channel Wednesday night. That will be for the Winter is Coming post-show. Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Championship. And new AEW Women's Tag Team Champions will be crowned. Will it be Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa? Will it be Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron? We'll find out. Get some more Continental Classic crap. Friday night is SmackDown. Of course, tomorrow night. Tuesday Night Titans over on JD's channel. And Saturday, John Cena's final match. One last match. And then we'll talk about it live on the stream. If you missed episode 941 of the podcast, chock full of news and opinions, go back and check it out. I covered a lot of shit, including the Netflix, WBD, Paramount stuff, TNA getting a deal with AMC. Just obviously the Cena stuff, and talked a little bit about Cody, maybe a heel turn possibly heading into WrestleMania. Hogan's family responds to Ric Flair. A lot of stuff covered. Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great rest of your night. And I will see you for more Sound Off live here on the YouTube channel very soon. Hit that like button on your way out and leave a comment. Until then, take care, guys.